Legend tales of a place where the booze flows freely and the stories are always entertaining. If you are bold enough to seek out such a place, head 13 miles down the Tuscan Highway to a tiny blues joint known as the Townsmith Tavern. Once there, enjoy the ride. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and Bowl.
Excuse me, you can't say that. You're gonna lose your family-friendly rating. You're gonna corrupt the kids.
BS! A podcast that invites you to grab a cold beverage, pull up a seat, and enjoy time with friends. And here are your hosts, Howard Blues and the Mark Kidder.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beer, Blues, and BS, the podcast that comes to you live from the Shrine of the Silver Monkey. I am your host, Howard Blues, here, as always, with my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the Mark Kidder. Kidder, how are you doing tonight?
Hashtag Silver Snakes for life, baby, because they're the most winningest team on Legends of the Hidden Temple. And now, here's your guide, Howie Blues. Doing his best Kirk Fogg impression. All right, Mr. Olmec. Oh. No?
I really don't have a Kirk Fogg impression. Sorry, never had that.
All right, well, there's still time. But I'm doing all right. You know, it's finally Friday night, and we are here, the Triple B, another wonderful episode. I know we say that a lot, but I mean, it's another wonderful episode. It's another quality episode of the best damn podcast on the planet and in space, because, you know, we're shooting through them their satellites and whatnot as well. So, yeah, I'm doing just wonderfully. I got a couple beverages over here to my left that you're going to enjoy when we get to our first topic for the evening. But you, I know, have had another outstanding week. So how the hell are you doing?
You know, Kidder, I'm hanging in there. You know, we are
Good.
Exactly 14 days away from the big move. So, a lot of stress. Yeah, a lot of stress. Trying to get packed up. I mean, if I tilt the camera up, you can see, yep, the pile of boxes has already started. It feels like I'm coming to you live from a warehouse.
I see some Star Wars stuff there. Is that stuff supposed to be in the garbage, or I kid?
You know, Kidder, I didn't want to go there, but I'll bring it up now. It's about damn time, but we're getting a fourth Star Trek movie in this excellent new rebooted series. I am excited about it, Kidder. Waiting for those lens flares. Oh, it's going to be spectacular, you know?
J.J. Abrams isn't going to be part of this one, just so you know.
Oh,
so I'm sure no lens flares, and if there are some, it's probably going to be minimal. And also, you son of a bitch, let's just bring this up too, because I know you think that Into Darkness is the most quality.
It's a cinematic masterpiece.
Yes, it's the highest quality of the Star Trek movies, but I have to say, wrong. There's so many plot holes in that movie. And I love Star Trek, damn it. And I have, I think, 3 copies of that frickin' thing right now because of the DVD, the Blu-ray, and the 4K. But that's just because the 4K versions that are being remastered right now haven't been released to the stores yet of the first 4 of the original series movies. Those are coming out here in a few months.
I was going to say, Kidder, how many copies of Wrath of Khan do you have?
I think I have 5 or 6.
Mm.
I haven't counted in a while because I have the VHS copy. I have the regular DVD copy. Now, this is also with the motion picture and the Search for Spock and for the Voyage Home and the stellar piece of the Final Frontier that movie is, and the Undiscovered Country, and I believe Generations. So I have them all on VHS and First Contact, and then the regular DVD version, and then they came out with the director's cut, and then they came out with the Blu-ray pack. So I ended up getting that, and I think they came out. I don't remember anymore. I'd have to take a quick pan over at the wall, and this turned into one hell of a tangent.
This has turned into almost like Kidder the Hoarder intervention. Kidder, I think you may have a problem.
No, because all my stuff is very neatly displayed, like a museum. It's all there for everyone to see whenever they want. You, on the other hand, you got the Star Wars stuff. It's upside down. It's in boxes. It looks like it's going to the trash because it's trash already. Just proving that Star Trek is the superior star of the War universe thing.
Star Wars, much better. Much better.
To sleep through.
No. I've seen that first original Star Trek movie.
Yeah.
Oh, Kidder, that was terrible. I don't care
maybe
who you are. That movie was terrible.
You just don't appreciate cinematic masterpieces. That's what
No,
it is.
I do. I just like my movies to actually have, action, or
action.
excitement, or, at least
you mean
something.
Spock taking the spacesuit and then the rocket pack and shooting it straight into the unknown, and then essentially almost going into warp mid thrust is not exciting enough for you?
Kidder.
No. What?
It's a terrible movie. It's terrible. You're never going to convince me. There's a reason I like the reboot better. Stuff happens. It was good.
Because you're a hipster. That's why.
Actually made me care about the characters of like Kirk and Spock. Because I'll tell you, as a kid, I saw the first Star Trek movie and I'm like, this is boring and terrible. And I never watched any of the others. So I never watched Wrath of Khan. I can't even tell you all. And I know you just listed them off, but I didn't care about that cast or any of that because I saw that first movie and I'm like, this is terrible. This is before Star Trek got good, And I watched Next Generation as a kid. I was like, this is clearly a better product than this old stuff. So,
well,
I hate to tell you, you're never going to convince me. I'm never going to be a huge fan of the original series. It's just, no.
Well, we'll just have to watch the remastered motion picture Wrath of Khan, The Search for Spock, and then, of course, The Voyage Home, and then Star Trek V, oh my gosh, I just had it a little bit ago. See, I already forgot because he's got me so worked up. This is ridiculous. The Undiscovered Country, number 6.
The only way that I will sit through all of that, I'll bring the Tennessee Honey Whiskey, okay? Because I'm going to have to be able to forget all of this.
Oh, man. Just terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Kidder, I've given you grief about the whole Into Darkness, Wrath of Khan thing. I mean, after Into Darkness came out, I actually did go and watch Wrath of Khan. And I still liked Into Darkness better.
Of course you did, because of all the plot holes and your plaid wearing hipster nature. I know you got it hidden with your button up because you used to live in Montana. You're trying to hide it.
No. I get it. The reason I liked it better was I at least told a story and such. When I watched Wrath of Khan, and as I said, I hadn't watched any of the original series or anything like that. It never made sense to me that, like, and it kind of gets brought up in the movie, but it's like, why is Khan such a big deal? Why does he want revenge? You know what? It's never really explained in the movie all that well. So, unlike Into Darkness, which had at least a reason, like I could get behind that Khan and his evil ways. Like, it made more sense to me. I understand plot holes, all of that. And truthfully, I mean, let's face it. I mean, I kid you about it being a cinematic masterpiece. I just liked it because it was a good popcorn film. I wasn't going in for in-depth storytelling or anything like that.
Sure.
But it's just something fun to give you grief about. So
I suppose. And Benedict Cumberbatch is, of course, the lead villain there. So there's that. It was good. But okay. I suppose we can move on. But Star Trek is still better.
Is not.
This will be good to continue for a few more decades.
I'll give you this, Kidder. It's better than Attack of the Clones. I'll give you that. But the other Star Wars movies are better.
All right. I mean, I would say the only one that I really recognize as a good Star Wars movie is Rogue One. You know why? Because they'll die at the end. Oh, we need a spoiler alert. Hey, future Howard, can you put spoiler alert before that? Because
that movie is old enough. I don't think we have to worry about spoiler alerts.
Oh, so even you've seen it?
I have seen it.
Okay. I know it's a Star Wars movie, so
I have seen all the Star Wars movies. I will admit I'm behind on The Mandalorian. I will say that. I hear it's fantastic. I have managed to avoid most of the spoilers on it. It's just, and it's not that I don't want to see it. It's, again, finding time in the evenings to sit down here and watch it. I just haven't. And it's one of those where my wife has said she's interested in seeing it. So finding time where both of us are available and able to watch it.
Right.
Plus she gets really kind of into, like, she's much more of a binge watcher than I am. And it's mostly because she doesn't always remember plots as well as I do. So if we don't kind of continue watching it, then she gets lost and like, okay, what was this going on? And who is this? And which is understandable. But because of that, we end up stuck like, hey, we're watching a show. And every time we'll sit down to watch something, it's, hey, can we watch more of this? And it's just like, ugh. So like, well, we talked about The Magicians a couple episodes back and its angstiness. And yeah, she keeps going, well, we could watch Magicians or we could play Stardew. And I'm like, Stardew, please, Stardew. Because I can't handle like the binging. I like variety. But Mandalorian is on my list. So is WandaVision. A lot of the Disney Plus stuff. I'm hoping once this move is done and life is settled,
give you a little extra time to watch some stuff. Yeah. I enjoyed WandaVision for what it was. Little Easter eggs that are in it. So, do I think it was, a cinematic masterpiece or top tier of the Marvel verse? Not really, but it was interesting and had some laughs and whatnot. A couple of the head scratchers of plot hole this, okay, right, but again, trying to obviously not spoil anything for you, and I still think you need to watch it. And there's 10 episodes, so it's not that many hours of time, because they're still between 40 and 60 minutes per episode. or so.
Yeah. No, I know it's not much of a time commitment, but it's, you know, it really is. We don't get a lot of free time. And it's like with if Junior's sleeping, we're packing, you know, it's kind of what mode we're in right now. So it's, yeah. So I'm hoping after the move, I have some time to catch up on some of these things.
Soon.
But Kidder, we've been talking for a while. I think it's time to
thirsty.
find out what's on tap. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting thirsty. You go first. I've gone first enough, so you go first.
Oh, but you almost always kick off what's on tap.
I know,
but
I feel
right.
bad. I want you to tell us what's on tap first. Share your delicious beverage. Go first. Share this.
Well, Kidder, so I'm drinking something that you gave me. I don't know if we've mentioned this on the show, but the Mark Kidder was kind enough to give me a small supply of beer, mostly stuff that you've had on the show. So, you know, nothing too surprising. Although, Kidder, I can't
sharing
hope,
is caring.
But notice that, like, in that pack, there's at least one IPA and a Natty Light seltzer. Kidder, is this confirmation that you're going to help me move and that you're providing your own beverage for that?
No. No. And if I do, I'll be over there because the Brothers in Blue moving company has to continue. So be there for that. But if there's a possibility that those beverages will be left just for me, then you can shine that sumbitch up real nice, turn it sideways and stick it straight up your candy ass. And I'll bring my own because I've already had them. I feel the arm was necessary for that.
Although I can't remember exactly what the flavor is of Natty Light up there, but I don't think it's one that you've had on the show. Because it wasn't cherry lime, and I can't remember what the other one was that you had on the show. But
was it a mango one or the raspberry one? Because I think I had the cherry one and the raspberry one. And after two strikes, I wasn't going to go for strike 3 on the mango because I already knew that it was going to be crap. So I just slide right past that one.
Yeah.
So you can try it.
Thanks. So anyway, I'm drinking the Grain Belt Blue is what I have tonight. We talked about it on the show. So
sorry, I said something. So you probably have to show the can again because it is a nice can to look at.
For the audience out there, I proceed to show the can but not speak, so the camera won't flip, making this whole thing pointless and therefore cracking up. Kidder, it's been a day, Kidder. It's been.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've talked about this one on the show. I don't know that there's much that I need to say about it except to give it a try and settle.
Drum roll, please. Maybe.
Oh, you want a drum roll? I can.
The official Triple B sound effects machine. He spent a whole $5.99 on it or something.
It was more. Actually, the price on these have gone up. It's like $13 now for this.
Good God, we need sponsors. Please help us.
Anyway, here we go. Well, definitely can taste the blueberry. I don't know if I'm enjoying that as much as you and the missus have been. So it's just a little too much blueberry for my liking.
Sure.
In fact, if I had to place this on the list of the blueberry beers, it's probably Brewmaster Derek's Mini DNA on top. Probably this, then probably whatever that other blueberry beer was that we had in college.
Need about 20 more drinks and then have it. Top tier. Top tier.
Yeah. So it's not terrible, but this is definitely not something I would pick up for myself. So, Kidder, I believe you gave me a second one of these. So, guess what's coming back to your place?
The receipt. Tree fitty? What? All right.
So, what do you got, Kidder?
So I'm going off the rails a little bit. I've mentioned this before on the show. Tonight, with the hard to find Corona Refresca. Now, these, for whatever reason, they're seasonal and they're super hard to find up here in the Northland. This is an import from Des Moines because they actually had supply. Yeah, I know. All right, so this flavor is the passion fruit lime, a malt beverage with natural flavors and certified colors. None of those uncertified colors. Also contains alcohol and 4.5% alcohol per volume. It's produced in Cerveceria Modela in Nava, in Mexico. Imported through Crown Imports in Chicago, Illinois. Also do have to mention, right on the bottom of this bad boy, look at that.
Ball.
That, my friend, is, of course, the new sponsor of the arena for your Colorado Avalanche. What else can I tell you about this? A flavorful tropical cocktail, and contains FD&C yellow number 5. That's pretty much it on the old can. So we'll go ahead and pop this boy open. Oh, it's also a full 12 ounces in this here can. So nice fruity smell here. The aroma. A little hint of lime there, and I suppose it's good because, it's passion fruit, so it should be fruity. I'd have to say that it's got some nice flavor to it. It doesn't have the Corona skunkiness like the beer does, or if you want to call it the skunkiness, I guess, depending on how old your Corona is. It's very much the fruit and some lime. So it is like an alcoholic fruity drink with a slice of lime in it. So it's very, very delightful for, one of the malt beverages.
Nice.
Not too bad. All right. So now that got a little thirst quenching going on, we're discussing movies, TV, film, and various things, updates and whatnot. And one of the things that I wanted to touch on, of course, is Money in the Bank, because it's coming up Sunday night. So we'll get to our predictions in a little bit, but this is also tonight, Friday Night SmackDown, is the first show. I think this is tonight. I'd have to look. Okay. And again, I didn't look up this part of it. I looked up the Sunday show for Money in the Bank, which will be the first pay-per-view in front of a live audience since Elimination Chamber in March of 2020. So this pay-per-view will be the first that is held in front of a live audience following the end of the Thunderdome era. They say that, what? You're shaking your head at me.
WrestleMania had a live audience this year.
That is true.
So you can't say that this is the first pay-per-view since Elimination Chamber with that.
That is
correction
true.
On that. So,
you should go on Wikipedia and change this.
That sounds like work. So, yeah, just to correct that, WrestleMania this year did have a live audience. So
in
people,
2 days. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so take that, Wikipedia. You didn't
Yeah.
fact check.
The statistician has spoken. But it'll be at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas. Some other interesting notes from this week of wrestling. Mandy Rose has now been moved to NXT. Don't know why. Just showed up. Maybe a gimmick refresh. I don't know. And then tonight, Friday Night SmackDown, the return of Finn Balor to the blue brand. So we'll see how that goes, where it goes, what happens, all of that good stuff. And of course, this weekend with the big old pay-per-view. Speaking of the pay-per-view, got a few matches lined up for it. You feel like you're ready to go down the list?
Give me just a second. Okay. Good to
go. All right. Okay. All right. So the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championship Tag Team match. The Mysterios, Ray and Dominic, versus the Uso, Jay and Jimmy. So personally, I know I sent you the meme, but personally, I don't see the Usos winning, partially because Jay Uso does not know how to stop drinking alcohol and driving, as he just received another, or was arrested for and was charged with DUI again. So I will go with the Mysterios to retain.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Mysterios only because they were doing all of that conflict within the Reigns Uso relationships and such. Losing that, or well, they don't have the titles, but losing in this match and missing the opportunity to gain the titles can help fuel that that tension, that drama. So it's got to be the Mysterios.
Okay, very good. Now we have that. Match number 1. How about match number 2? This one is the Money in the Bank ladder match for a World Championship contract. The people listed in the match are as follows: Ricochet, John Morrison, Riddle, Drew McIntyre, Big E, KO, Kevin Owens, King Nakamura, which is now what he is going by instead of just Shinsuke Nakamura, because he took Baron Corbin's crown and is now the king of SmackDown or some stupid thing, and Seth Rollins. So out of all of those people, of course, a couple of them have been pushed here and there. Who could I see really getting a title run out of it? KO, I think, should win it and hold that briefcase. Seth Rollins has had it before and, of course, cashed in at WrestleMania. I could see them also giving it to Drew McIntyre, because if you may or may not remember, if he lost the match, then he can never challenge Bobby Lashley. So, whatever. A little bit tough on the pick for this one, but I'm going to go out and say KO.
Okay.
Going out on a limb.
Yeah, and I would say that's a limb. Truthfully, in the history of Money in the Bank, it has never really done well when a face has had the briefcase, if you think about it. It's just a better heel thing to have, right? And so looking at this list, there's only really one heel on the list. So
Seth Rollins.
I'm gonna choose Seth Rollins. He's the only heel on the list. He's kind of been stuck in limbo. This would be a thing that would allow them to pull the trigger on him. Because usually they try and pick somebody who's up and coming, that this would be a good boost, a heel, or a face with redemption. So I could see the McIntyre thing too, although that just doesn't interest me. So
Yeah.
I pick Rollins, but I would say there are people in this match I would rather see have it. I would rather see KO have it. I would rather see Nakamura have it. Not because I think that they would do great. Well, KO could do some great stuff with it. Nakamura, I don't know, just because of the stuff they do with him. But
How about even John
like
Morrison? Give him something. Because he's like a half heel.
He's a comedic heel, so truthfully, he's in this match to be one of the flip monkeys who does some dangerous stuff so that we all go, ooh. So, yeah, I think it's going to be Rollins, but, Money in the Bank is always a bit unpredictable, so... Yeah, but I'll take Rollins because, as I said, I think it works better on a heel, so I'm going to pick a heel.
Sure. The next one is the women's Money in the Bank ladder match for a contract for the Women's Championship. And of course, it says the Women's Championship, but I would assume that it is for Raw or SmackDown. The contestants in this one are Asuka, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, who is now a superhero or an almost superhero. So she goes by the initials ASH, as in Nikki ASH, Nikki almost superhero. I don't know why, but the second part. Anyway, Liv Morgan, Zelina Vega. As we talked about last week, she made her return, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago already. Time flies when you're having fun. She made her return to WWE after being fired like 4 months ago, and then yelling at the WWE and their policies and not making money, and then she's back. There's also Natalya and Tamina, the women's tag team champions, in the match, fighting against each other. So, looking at the list, who would I like to see pick up the contract? Nikki Cross would be good, as you had talked about before, with all of the things of being a push, up and coming, that sort of thing, would be good, especially with her new gimmick, although I think that is kind of her push. Alexa Bliss, give her something to do, but she's won it already before, so we're good on that for a bit until she goes back to Miss Bliss. I feel Liv Morgan could really benefit from having the contract, having something to do, but I think Zelina Vega will be winning the contract, the briefcase, the thing that we're talking about.
Yeah, I actually, Kidder, I had Bliss down, and I just changed it to Vega myself, because as I'm thinking about it, Zelina Vega, excellent talker, very good. I mean, she's the reason that Andrade really got over.
Yep.
Not that Andrade was ever, like, you could say he was not talented enough. He didn't quite have the speaking, the mic skills, and Zelina Vega brought that. So I actually kind of want her to win, only because I think that she would cut some interesting promos with the briefcase. If not her, I'd hope for Asuka. I like Asuka a lot. I know some people are tired of Asuka as champion and things like that, but and her yelling promos, but I enjoy it.
What are you yelling about? Are these going on? I'm so excited.
Yeah, I just like her as a performer, and I like her matches. Yeah, so, but I have Vega. I think she'll cut some great promos with it. So, yeah,
Good choice.
that's what I got.
Okay. Next on the list, it is Bobby Lashley, the current WWE champion, with MVP against Kofi Kingston. Man, he will have Xavier Woods in his corner. So this one again, singles match, WWE Championship, with the extra elements on the side, plus how Bobby Lashley was yelling at MVP this past week on Monday Night Raw, and then flipped apart and destroyed the VIP lounge of MVPs. I will say Lashley will retain. There'll probably be some shenanigans with this, but WWE is going to keep this for another month, keep going, and it's going to be something developing for SummerSlam. I don't see them taking a sudden turn and giving it to Kofi for some reason and then having, him win or whatever the case is for a month and then have something else develop from it. Lashley retains.
Yeah. Yeah, much like we talk about pay-per-views like Fastlane, where we say, it's right before WrestleMania. They're not flipping the titles at Fastlane. This year, Money in the Bank is falling into that spot of right before SummerSlam. I'd have a hard time believing that they're going to take the title off Lashley. They had him beat Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. They had him beat Drew McIntyre so McIntyre could never challenge again. It'd be kind of pointless to have him lose to Kofi. Nothing against Kofi, but Kofi right now is filling that filler spot, just kind of get Lashley through to SummerSlam. And it goes to one of those where, again, we're seeing the same people on the pay-per-view. It's like, why do we need this match? You could easily have somebody else fill this spot and get somebody else on the pay-per-view, because there's been a lot of great talent that we haven't seen in a long time on the pay-per-view.
Yep.
So
yep.
that I guess is my take, is why put this filler match? Nobody's gonna go for Kofi. So
you're going for Kofi then?
No, I got Lashley.
Okay. Next one for the WWE Raw Women's Championship. The champion, Rhea Ripley, takes on the Queen, Charlotte Flair, once again. This one, I could almost see it going to Charlotte Flair again, because she gets yet another title opportunity. Because to me, it feels like, okay, we don't have any other good women wrestlers. So Charlotte's here. She doesn't have it. So let's give her a title shot. But she just had one. But she was good. So let's just give her another one. Okay. And again, not diminishing Charlotte or her talents or her wrestling abilities, but can't she have a one-on-one match with somebody else? A feud with somebody else that doesn't involve the title for 6 months to a year? She doesn't need the title again. So I would guess, unless the WWE again has something up their sleeve, very, very confusing, Rhea Ripley will retain, and SummerSlam will be something. And if I had to guess, I'm just going to throw this out there, maybe Becky Lynch is going to show up on the next Monday, or this coming Monday Night Raw, and something will happen for SummerSlam. I don't know. That's, of course, purely speculation. So, Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, it's always kind of blatantly obvious how they don't write for the women beyond the titles in WWE, and that's why there's just nobody else. I mean, you have Rhea Ripley versus Flair, Bailey and Bianca Belair are in their own feud, so there's that's the top four really being tied up. Alexa Bliss is in the weird Fiend ripoff angle, so it doesn't really make sense to bring her into the title picture. They've pretty much destroyed Shayna Baszler with putting her up against Bliss, and Banks is on rest. So I mean, it's just they're kind of hurting for challengers, and I think that's why we're seeing another rematch of this. So I also have Ripley. I don't think they're going to take it off of her until SummerSlam.
Just a quick side note, as I've been listening to you and looking in the research here, fans were at Friday Night SmackDown this evening, and Vincent Kennedy McMahon was there to welcome the fans back. And, of course, Finn Balor was there, just like I mentioned. So, quick side note. Next match, another one that has its potential. Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman against the rated R superstar Edge. Now, this one for the Universal Championship. I've talked about it before, so I'm not going to go completely crazy and continue rehashing the same thing. I'm not a WWE writer, so there's that. But I would prefer to see Edge. Do I think he's going to win at Money in the Bank? No.
Yeah, I also have Reigns in this. I'd like to see Edge. Again, this is one of those where it's like, why is this at Money in the Bank? And I understand it's your first pay-per-view back with fans, and so you're trying to give them something. So why give them Reigns in this spot? And for this, why not have, especially if you're going to bring Finn Balor up, why not make this a number one contenders match? Finn Balor versus Edge. Now, talk about a match that would still also sell tickets and put butts in seats.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean,
I would enjoy that.
Finn Balor versus Edge? Well, I'd take it. That would be match of the night. Easy. And you could still have Edge win and put it on to SummerSlam. I don't know why you're putting Edge in this spot unless you're going to have some screwy finish and it's going to set up some stipulation match at SummerSlam. So, Reigns, yeah. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Before we go on to the alleged last match of the card, because we always run into this, we do it, we're recording Friday night, and of course, Sunday shows up, and 30 changes have been made to the card, both in how they're arranged or even just the matches themselves. So that's why if you watch this and you're like, well, there were 2 other matches. Well, future Howard doesn't have a time machine in his back pocket, so we can't come back to current Howard and say, hey, by the way, there's this match. You should probably do predictions for that. So we do our best. In all fairness, they are in all of the end lists that we do because we keep these in a well-documented spreadsheet, thanks to Howard the Ref, the official officiant of the WWE pay-per-view viewing. So there's that. Where the hell was I going? All right. 2 things. I can't believe I got all that out. Number 1. On the underground, the rumor mill is rumoring. One thing, allegedly setting up at SummerSlam. I don't know how they're setting it up or if it's just going to be a, hey, by the way, SummerSlam, it's this. But Roman Reigns versus John Cena for the championship. again, I don't know how they're setting it up or if it's a poof. John Cena comes out and there it is. The other piece that, again, as part of the rumor mill is Bobby Lashley versus Goldberg at SummerSlam. There's also rumor that it might be Goldberg. I just said Goldberg. There's a rumor that it might be Brock Lesnar. That would also be out of nowhere. How do you get this set up, right? Especially with Paul Heyman being with Roman Reigns. Or do you go completely screwy and then Lesnar shows up versus Reigns and Heyman's stuck in the middle, which they've already done. But I just wanted to throw that out while we're, again, going through this whole process.
Yeah. It's pretty well known that Cena's coming back. It's been mentioned. He's even mentioned it on a couple of talk shows and such. So Cena's coming back. What his involvement is, I don't know. And such. But yeah, we'll see. People have been calling for the Bobby Lashley Brock Lesnar match for a long time.
Yep.
It's a dream match that and I guess I should put it this way. People wanted the TNA Impact Bobby Lashley versus the WWE Brock Lesnar, not the WWE Bobby Lashley versus the WWE Brock Lesnar. Just to throw that out there, because Lashley had a very successful run in TNA, which they've kind of brought back with the whole Hurt Business thing and partnering him with MVP, because he was partnered with MVP in TNA. So just as your bit, but that's why there's kind of this calling for this match, and I could see it. But we'll just wait and see. It's SummerSlam. There will be some matches that's just like, and we're just going to build it right now, and here it goes. So we'll see.
The last match on the card for this Friday evening, AJ Styles and Omos, the Raw Tag Team Champions, against the Viking Raiders, Eric and Ivar. This one, I don't have any interest in seeing AJ Styles and Omos. I don't. And the Viking Raiders, when they were champions before and they steamrolled everybody, I didn't have interest in watching them either. So do I have interest in watching this match? No, I don't. I might take a nap or take a leak. Maybe both. I don't know. I'm not sure. But it's terrible to say because I know Eric and Ivar are good wrestlers and AJ Styles is an amazing wrestler. So how did we get here? Well, I know how we got here. Laziness. So this one, I'm going to go out on what? No, not laziness.
No.
Bad
get your
writing.
pick, and then I'll get your pick out, and then I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Wrong. That's fine. I'm interested in hearing this piece too, because I don't really care. I'm gonna take a right turn, completely out of left field. Viking Raiders, just for one thing that is different on this to surprise me. Surprise me. So, tell me how the dude, the bouncer, Omos, Shane McMahon's bodyguard, how he got over to just steamrolling people and buddies with just buddies with AJ Styles all of a sudden.
Well, the buddies part, that's storytelling. Anyway, the reason why we got to this match, and it makes perfect sense. You have Omos. I'm going to tell you right now, his wrestling skills are probably not that great and not that strong. So
what?
Partnering.
What? Whoa.
Just here. so they partner him with AJ, and the point is that AJ, who is phenomenal and can sell, his job is to carry 95% of the match, tag in Omos. Omos creams everybody. That's what they're doing. That's how we kind of got to this point. It's really the WWE trying to stall Omos until they can get him to that point where he's able to be on his own, and that's the reason of partnering with AJ. As for the Viking Raiders, this is a great example of NXT talent turned into bleh. Because these guys were fantastic in NXT as the War Raiders. And then they got to the big leagues, and as we've said before, there are certain words that Mr. Vincent Kennedy McMahon says you can't say, and war is one of those. So because of that, they got changed to the Viking Experience and then the Viking Raiders, and just haven't been used to the great. I mean, you had people chanting along with them, Kidder, in NXT. It was a very good. They were a very good, dominant, charismatic tag team, and that have just come up here and meh. And the fact that these guys have the match against AJ and such, they're going to get creamed, which is sad because these guys are better than that. So
especially
that's where we are.
The steamrolling before. So how did they become so terrible? Once great warriors.
Flavor of the month.
Yeah.
Ow.
So there's that. I guess we'll just have to see how it pans out on Sunday night. Also, if you notice, time for another beverage. If you're curious what it is, I'm just going to throw that right there at you.
Yeah, you're drinking Smirnoff again.
Well, I got to get rid of the damn things. And they're not that bad. I mean, they could be 12 full ounces of alcohol instead of 11 and a half. But who's counting at this point? So what's this crap that you just tossed in there? Star Wars and Star Trek, with Star Wars being the champion, because we clearly know that Star Wars is not the champion of sci-fi.
Well, Kidder, here was my thought. One, I put the champion just to troll you. Here's what I was thinking, though. We always talk about feedback. You and I started off this show debating Star Wars versus Star Trek. Here's what I'm going to suggest is shortly after this episode releases, we'll put out a poll and we'll let our fans, our audience, we'll let them settle this. So we will have ourselves a little poll. We'll run it through the week and then eventually get back to, hey, which is the dominant sci-fi series? So if you want to defend your team, go out to the Beer Blues MBS Facebook page and cast your vote. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Clearly Star Trek.
And the campaigning has begun.
There's no campaigning. What is this, election day? Technically, I guess by now. I don't know.
And for those of you who are participating, bonus points to you if you can predict exactly how many fake accounts Kidder makes to put Star Trek over in the voting.
I can neither confirm nor deny these or any other allegations at this time. So, there's that. So, I understand that you have an update on a couple different things.
I do, Kidder. Last week, I shared with you Boxgate and the controversy over Reaper and its last Kickstarter. A couple of things to update because, boy, are the nerds getting frustrated. The last shipping container has arrived. And so now you got nerds who got skipped in the first waves who are like, where's my stuff? because it's there now. It should be coming. Why? So you have that. So that's going on and terrific. But I'm going to add yet a third controversy to this.
Dun, dun.
And that is Pirate Ship Gate.
What?
Yes. So one of the big ticket items in this Kickstarter is a 3-foot long pirate ship. Okay, something that people in the Kickstarter really wanted and bugged Reaper about. So Reaper did this 3-foot model pirate ship. And apparently it's had some issues in the shipping and wasn't cast real well. And so some people got good batches and their pirate ships are fine, and other people, their pirate ships are not fine. And so you have people complaining on Facebook about my pirate ship doesn't, like, it was poorly cast, it doesn't look good, it's going to be a lot to fix it. And then you have people who are big Reaper fans who are like, the pirate ship is fine, mine is fine, I don't know what's up with you, you shouldn't post such negative comments about Reaper. Oh, kidder, it's just so much nerd rage. It's
sounds like you need to leave that group and join a quality group, like the Star Trek fans.
No, there'd be too many controversies in that one. That is a level of geekdom where that's all they do is get upset about plot holes and lens flares and too many lens flares and which captain's the best captain, Kirk or Picard?
Cisco,
yeah,
obviously.
Well, and that's the problem with that. It's always Kirk versus Picard. There's no Cisco, there's no Janeway, there's no Archer, there's no any of the others. It's Kirk and Picard.
I'm proud of you that you named that many. It's working. My plan is slowly succeeding.
Listen, I used to watch Star Trek. I mean, listen, I grew up. I had 2 channels. You came home after school and Star Trek was on from 3 to 4. Actually, it was 4 to 5 because then you had the 5 o'clock news. So Star Trek was kind of the last thing you could watch before my dad got home, and then it was whatever he wanted to watch. So yeah, I used to watch Star Trek and such. I wasn't a diehard like you. It was more of like, well, hey, this is on. So it's not bad. Wonderful. It's not like I hate Star Trek. I just think Star Wars is better, and I have more enjoyment of those movies.
I'm glad that you get enjoyment, and it's okay that we're all misguided a little bit here and there. Was there more to the pirate ships, or were they just thinking like this conversation?
Just wait, kidder, until me and my fleet of pirate ships show up at your door.
Good luck getting over here.
Kidder, I had to laugh because my wife and I have been, we've been storing, as part of this move, stuff at different parts of some at your place, some at my sister-in-law's. I have been sending some items that I have been getting in the mail to my sister-in-law's. It's like don't know when all this stuff's coming in, such as my Kickstarter pledge from Reaper. And she gets so concerned every time some of my mail shows up over there. She's like, "Oh, did you want this?" I'm like, "No, just put it down in the basement. I don't have time to deal with it." Okay, well, I didn't want you to freak out. I'm like, "It's okay." And I've told her, I said, and just so you know, I apologize in advance for when Bones 5 arrives at your door. I had to explain it to her and tell her, yeah, there's going to be like 6 feet worth of pirate ship that shows up.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's right. I got 2.
You got 2 pirate ships.
Well, you can't do sea battles with only a single pirate ship. I did resist getting the glow-in-the-dark pirate ship because I like to paint my models. And if it's already glow-in-the-dark and you can't paint it, it's kind of already done.
You could, but it just wouldn't glow as well anymore.
Right. So what's the point of getting a glow-in-the-dark pirate ship if you're just going to paint it? for me and what I get out of the hobby, I don't need it. So
I know what you can do. It just came to me, sheer genius. You can get glow in the dark paint or clear paint and just paint it again for the hell of it.
yeah, no, I'm just going to paint them both. I was thinking of naming one Enterprise and one Falcon after tonight. So
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
whichever one gets the crappier paint job, that'll be the Enterprise.
Gosh.
You know, Kidder, I can solve Star Wars, Star Trek debate very simply.
Yeah.
I think I have a fact that you can't deny.
Okay.
Star Wars is clearly better because the guy from Indiana, the gentleman from Indiana, likes Star Trek.
Wow.
Checkmate.
You know, that's a lot of thinking right there. I'm gonna have to defend him on this one, and I don't know how I feel about that because I can't go against my true blood.
There you go.
No, I'm having.
I put you in a no-win situation.
There,
you are in the Kobayashi Maru.
no such thing as a no-win scenario, you son of a bitch. That's how this is gonna get solved. Kobayashi, I'm putting you in the Kobayashi Maru. I'm gonna show you.
Come on, I should get some points for knowing the Kobayashi Maru.
You should,
Yeah.
But I'm gonna take away points because that's in the new movies, and so therefore, you having watching the new movies, know that the Kobayashi Maru situation or simulator is there to try and have the no-win scenario. So you're a phony. You're a damn phony. That's all. That's all that is. So -5 points for stealing that from the 2009 movie. I know how.
It's a superior movie.
Yeah, I see you. I see you and your little eyebrows over there. Come on now. You just calm the hell down. You almost made me swear. We're going to lose our family-friendly rating. Come on. I'm going to have to drive to Indiana just to find somebody else so I can argue with that they like Star Wars, and then I can blame it on them. Everybody else from Indiana is fine, except for the person who likes Star Wars. And, of course, our issues as mentioned in prior episodes about another certain gentleman from Indiana. So let's just water under the bridge. Let's just put a pause on this. Go into the temporal continuum here. Snap our fingers like Q. Move along to the next one. Oh, by the way, speaking of Q, before I move on, because Nico absolutely hates the Q episodes. So just got to air some episodes with Q. And there's only like 8 episodes with Q in the Next Generation. So that's how funny enough. That is. So, all right. Anyway, I went off on a little bit of a rant. Apparently, you're pissed off about something too. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, Kidder, I had to travel to 2 sites this week. So I traveled out west to the Chateau de Moraes for a site visit, and then just today I was out at Oscar Zero, the Ronald Reagan Minuteman Missile State Historic Site.
Awesome.
Yeah, both visits were great. You know, I enjoy getting out to the sites. But here's my issue. Because I am working on moving, stuff around my house, trying to find some things is just difficult. And so I couldn't find my iPod before said trip. And now I tend to listen to podcasts and my own music through my iPod. And so because I couldn't find it in time for these trips, I was forced between the two to spend like 5.5 hours listening to radio.
Oh no, terrestrial radio.
And Kidder, Oh, radio is awful.
You miss me being on the airwaves, don't you?
You know, I never heard you on the airwaves because there was always a damn 4, 5, 6 minute commercial break. I never heard you. I could drive all the way from Mandan to my to the place I was staying at when you were on the radio and not hear you talk. Hear nothing but commercials.
I can't help that I was popular. You know, #1 per capita in the country for afternoon active rock 3 to 7. I can't help it.
Yeah, but anyway, Kidder, I had to listen to like morning talk show radio. And let me just say, there are things about it that just annoyed me. I couldn't the number of times that someone's like, you know, here's this interesting story. We'll tell you more about it next. It was never next. It was followed by 2 songs, 4 minutes of commercial, another song, and then they'd come back and they would sit and prattle for 10 minutes before they got to whatever the thing was. It's like, that's not next.
It's kind of like this show.
Yeah. But they would do that, and it's just like, So I'd be flipping back and forth. I had another one that they're like, hey, we're going to Amy for her news stories of the day. Amy, what do you got for the news? You know, what's in the headlines? And she'd give one headline, and it's like, okay, that's fine. And then the next is like, well, for our next headline, we're going to TikTok. When did TikTok become a news source? You know what the big headline was? Apparently there's a TikTok challenge where you take a giant pickle, scoop out the innards, put a Snickers bar in it, close it up like a sandwich, and eat it. This is what they're calling news. 5.5 hours of this crap. That is what I have had to listen to. So, Kidder, I miss my podcasts. I miss, you know, nice curated content that is stuff that I want to hear. Oh, it's been painful. It was painful.
I think I realized something.
What?
I know how to finally break you. Just put you in a room and make you listen to terrestrial radio for 8 hours. It's going to be wonderful.
I kid you not, Kidder. It was terrible. I was just flipping through like, please give me something interesting, something I can listen to, something I can. I was even on the friggin' sports talk. I'm like, well, sports, maybe I'll get some hockey. I know it's not hockey season, but at least I could get hockey. You know what they wanted to talk about? They talked about something else that's on our run. Well, they talked about something else that's coming up on the run sheet. We'll talk about. But that was the big news because, of course, the talk radio I was listening to was out of Minnesota. Mm-hmm. But then it's like, hey, we're going to bring in Phil Castle, and he's going to tell us more about all of today's top headlines. Okay. So I'm thinking this is going to be more about these other sports news-related stories. You know what he talked about? Politics. It's sports radio. I don't want to hear about expose books about Trump and all of that. It's like, I talk about hockey, talk about baseball. Hell, talk about basketball.
No.
Listen, I was that desperate. Tonight, driving home again. It's like, hey, here's the sports radio. I'll talk to this. What were they talking about? Hey, we're doing a fundraiser to feed hungry Minnesotans who are starving. Good cause, but not why I tuned into sports radio. Oh.
And Howard's broken.
So that's my rant. Radio sucks. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
All right. Sounds good. How about, since you're talking about radio, let's discuss a little bit of the music. Because obviously, one of the things that we like to talk about on this show is music, what we're listening to, what's going on. I, being the former radio, quote-unquote, greatness that my show was, sharing a lot of damn good music over the years. So I noticed this past week, a band that I really enjoy ended up releasing a new track. Got really excited. New album is coming out soon. Got really excited. This is awesome, fantastic. Ended up actually seeing this band in Dickinson. Drove the radio Chevy HHR all the way out there. MC'd the show. Got to meet the band, hang out with them, talk to them, have a good time. Drove back, had a good time. Got a signed album floating around here somewhere. Well, lead singer left the band again. So, basically, what happened is he left a message, officially announced it on Facebook, that his departure from the band Fuel. You may remember the band Fuel for some songs such as Shimmer, perhaps Bittersweet, Jesus or a Gun, perhaps Won't Back Down, few other wonderful tracks like Falls on Me. They have a lot of great music. And a few of their other tracks, Wasted Time, Gone. There's a lot of great tracks from this band, just to name a couple. So the message came out October 21st of 2020. And of course, today is the first day I heard about it because I wanted to look into this. Driving home from work, I hear the brand new single from Fuel. And I'm like, awesome. New single. It's called Hard. Here we go, listening to the track. And I'm like, number one, this kind of sounds hokey pokey. But number two, does not sound like Fuel. So, as we were doing our pre-show prep, if you will, and checking this stuff out, I see that the original lead singer, that would be Brett Scallions, left the band again in October, posting, "I am no longer in Fuel." It seems there are quite a few people posting on the Fuel Facebook page who think it's me. I am part to blame for that, as I've not officially posted regarding this until now. Well, it's official. I will no longer be performing, nor will I be supporting the Fuel brand in any way. Unresolved differences have finally come to a point where it's best to simply walk away and never return. I'd like to thank each and every fan and friend I've made throughout my time fronting the band. It's been quite a ride, but now it's time to move on to greener pastures. As many of you know, I've been working on solo material for some time now, and I must say it's coming out amazing. I can't wait to present to you this true labor of love. And once the whole pandemic is over, I plan on touring and performing not only the new solo material, but also the songs I've made famous over the years, as well as many favorites from other great artists. The light ahead is quite bright, and I look forward to many more fun moments musically with you all. Hugs and love, and I hope to see you from a stage in the very near future. So I read that, and I'm like, son of a bitch. I mean, it makes sense. It all makes sense. One interesting fact, aside from the new singer sounding nothing like the original singer of Fuel, is that the original tracks for this upcoming album called Anomaly were written by the songwriter and guitarist Carl Bell, which he is the new singer and or backing. Pardon me, let me get this correct. He's a lead guitar and backing vocals. They brought in the original drummer for Fuel, Kevin Miller, again, and then the new singer, John Corsale. He also, like I said, lead vocals and plays guitar. And according to the fact after those pieces of some of the other members writing songs and stuff, it says no members involved in the previous lineup returned. I'm like, So you have original members, but there were not original members that were in the previous iteration, which is still the iteration that is currently on the potential for touring and whatnot, but now no longer. So there's your musical update with Fuel. The song, it's all right. Do I think it'll be a top 10? No, I don't. It kind of goes along. I don't know if we've discussed it on this show. I think you and I have talked about it, of when singers move on to another band or whatnot, and the band replaces that singer with somebody else. Some bands, you can't do that. I mean, you can physically of, oh, well, this person's singing for us now. But listening to it, no, you can't. And I say you can't because it sucks. Because it's a different band with the same name. For instance, 3 Days Grace. I think that was my example before. Now, Adam Gontier, the lead singer, formerly of 3 Days Grace, the original lead singer with the band, you and I saw 3 Days Grace perform live. It's a great show. Fantastic. Creative differences, blah, blah, blah. He leaves the band, or they kick him out, whatever, whoever you want to ask, that's what happened. So he goes on to Saint Asonia, which is a great band because it sounds like 3 Days Grace, because Adam Gontier and 3 Days Grace members come in and decide, well, we need a lead singer because we're going to continue this band name. So who do they get? Well, I believe it's the guitarist's cousin, Matt Walst, who was the lead singer for My Darkest Days. My Darkest Days was a very good band on their own right. But now he sings for 3 Days Grace. They try and make him sound like Adam Gontier to make it sound like 3 Days Grace, but it's really not. Just getting all worked up. Just made my sinuses all go crazy over here. So we talked about that, I think, before, and it bothers me.
Yeah, it's always tough when a band changes sounds and things like that. One of the bands that when they first came out that I really enjoyed was the Fratellis, and their debut album Costello Music. It's one of those. I think you're a bit like me, where, and it's as most people, it's rare that you buy like a CD and you love every song on the CD, and that you enjoy every song on the CD. It happens very rarely that you find kind of that situation to happen.
Unless you buy a Metallica album.
But Costello Music was one of those just really good albums. There's, I like all of the songs. If I had to pick a song that I don't quite like on it, it would be I Got My Nuts from a Hippie. It's a little out there. It's not quite my favorite, but I enjoy that album. I can listen to all of that album and enjoy it. And I remember when their second album came out, I was starting to listen to some of the songs off of that album, and I was so excited because it's like, I loved Costello Music, ready for this album. And I hear the first single off of the new album, and it was so different and so weird that I didn't listen to anymore. And it was just like, nope.
That was it. Huh?
It was bad and weird, and they went really experimental, and it was just like, oh, guys, you had something here, and of course, Kidder, the Fratellis, as any good UND fan knows, because one of the Fratelli songs, I always can't remember if it's Flathead or Chelsea Dagger. I think it's Chelsea Dagger. Is the official goal song of your UND Fighting Sioux. So, yeah. So, but that was that's a great example. I did hear one of their more recent tracks called Star-Crossed Lovers not too long ago. And that was pretty good. It was kind of a return to the styling that I liked before. So I might have to give them another try, but it's just a great example of a band where it's like, boy, I love these guys and everything they do. Let's hear their next album. Why'd you guys mess with it? That's always kind of sad.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard all of the Struts' newest album, but what I was hearing was pretty good. I think there was maybe one song on it that I was kind of on, but I
One
do need to
question
give
I
that a
have
listen.
for
I
you
do enjoy the Struts.
with the Fratellis, for instance, it's still the original lead singer and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a trio, but they're good. And I would recommend anybody check out Costello music. In fact, fun thing about Costello music, there are names and characters that play through all of Costello music. You hear the same names and stuff kind of played through without it. And for a while, Kidder, I was actually working on trying to piece together a script that was basically it was just basically, think of it like one long music video for Costello music that basically told a story based off of the lyrics and the songs. Because again, characters carried through and such. Project I never finished, but still, it always comes back to me when I hear the music. So
Sure. I gotcha.
it's a good one. Yeah.
So doing my math, this episode should be out on the, oh man, I gotta pull up the calendar. Should be 4 weeks, right?
Well, Kidder, now that you mentioned that out, tonight coming out was episode 15.
Okay.
Which was on the clock, which means the 23rd will be episode 16, the 30th will be episode 17, the 6th will be episode 18. So this will come out August 13th.
Okay.
This episode will drop.
Gotcha. So, hopefully by then, this debut, we will have had the band Saul on with us, because they are cruising through the state at this point of the calendar in August, playing in Minot and the Fargo area. So if you've already seen it, great. If we didn't do it, we'll try and get them on. There's a great this, then, if, and, or timeline thing for you.
Yeah. Well, and Kidder, I think part of that buffer of ours will go down because, as I have mentioned a couple times, we are 14 days away from the big move. So we are recording this week. We will probably be able to record next week. The week after that, I don't know that we'll be able to record. So I'll be moving into my place.
Moving. Well, I suppose we could record some clips of us being us in the Brothers Blue Moving Company.
I mean, possibly, but then people could figure out where I now live, and I don't need that, Kidder. I like my privacy.
Coming from an undisclosed location.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a lot of editing for future Howard, as he has to blur out everything around my new place so that you can't figure out where I live.
Every tree, every license plate, every street sign, every neighboring house, and the house itself.
Yeah,
perfect.
I mean, yeah. So anyway, I think that we'll probably lose another week. Not that you, the audience, will miss out on that.
No interruptions at all. That's for sure. It's going to be an awesome evening and day every single time that you get a little bit of the Triple B in your world. So, Look
So,
who joined
Kidder, hey.
us.
Special guest. It's Howard Jr. Hi.
What's up,
Hi.
Bubs?
Yeah.
Say hello
He
to
just-
the people.
He just got home. Him and Lefty went to Sleepy Hollow's Frozen Junior tonight. So, yeah. So,
And how was
How was
that?
the show? What were your thoughts? In fact, Calvin, here, you've been slacking. How was it? Ooh, harsh review
Oh
from,
man.
from our theater critic, Howie Jr.
Is that I just have to ask because I think it might be the new Google Meet environmental audio reduction. Is that really quiet, or is because it's like it cuts it out.
I'll probably have to go in and add these in a little bit stronger because yes, Google now does noise reduction. And we can see what our sound engineer thinks of that.
Oh, filters out sound from your mic that isn't speech. There, I turned it off. It's probably just for me though.
Anyway,
This is probably the best part that we have had in this show since we've started.
who knew that Junior was the true comedic talent of this operation?
Well, I figured it had to be just absolutely no doubt in my mind, no doubt. I'm also done with this lemonade again, so I need something else to drink, especially with how this show has been going.
Listen, I think this has been a great episode. I don't know what you're talking about, Kidder.
It's true. This has been great. Every episode of Triple B is a great episode. And while we're thinking about it, let's just throw out a couple little things here. Like join us on Facebook, facebook.com/beerbluesandbs, or perhaps email us. You can email me, Kidder@beerbluesbs.com, or you can email him, Howard@beerbluesbs.com. You can also email Rude Boy Kyle. It's rudeboy@beerbluesbs.com. Or you can even email Brother Nico, the gentleman from Nebraska. He's Bob Giggles at beerbluesbs.com. Also, make sure you join us on Podbean. That's where you can find all of the audio versions in one place. You can check out our website, beerbluesbs.com. You can even join us on the YouTube and watch the show happen. See the train wreck happen in front of your very own eyes. Train wreck! Sometimes. Or just watch the rage. Let the rage flow through you. One of those things. Aside from that, what else do we have here? I mean, he's holding up something that's glowing.
It's
What is
a
that?
back massager.
And it glows.
Yeah, it's a vibrating back massager.
So he's letting the hate flow through him.
Okay.
Well, so there's that. Do we want to mention some of the other places that we are, like Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, perhaps Last FM, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts? I'm sure I'm missing a couple, aren't I?
No, that's pretty much the list. So
pretty much a list. Okay. There's probably a few more places. You can find that out at our Podbean website. Just search podbean.com and then go to Beer Blues BS. Beer Blues and BS. Give us a search on the Podbean. I'd also like to mention, because it's been probably a month and a half or 2 months since I mentioned it before, you can follow the Killer Kidder Show on Spotify and get the Killer Kidder Show perfectly curated for your auditory listening privilege and enjoyment. It's all right there. Just go on Spotify if you have a Spotify account and search the Killer Kidder Show, and you can find the show that is created from me, the big playlist right there. Many, many, many great songs and many hours that you can listen to. A lot of audio right there on the Killer Kidder Show on Spotify. Since we're doing some cheap plugs, we can throw in the KRDN Eyewitness Weather Now channel as well, right here on the bottom of your screen. That, of course, is at twitch.tv/KRDN Eyewitness Weather Now. I say that because, of course, if you are listening to us on one of the aforementioned platforms, you're not watching this, so you can't see this lovely graphic on the bottom of the screen on YouTube. So again, twitch.tv, search KRDN Eyewitness Weather Now, and you will get to the show. Check it out. Man, what else should we talk about? We talked about the Facebook page. We talked about our website. We talked about all the audio places you can find us at. What about Zach Parise? He's done.
Well,
He's out of here.
Well, he's not done.
No.
No. The big news story. As my sound engineer spams all the buttons.
Cash money.
Is that the Minnesota Wild have decided to buy out both Zach Parise and Ryan Suter's contracts, which means that for the next 3 years, the Minnesota Wild will be playing Zach Parise, and he can go play for any other team that wants to offer him a contract. So, it's kind of an interesting thing. It means Zach Parise is no longer with the Wild. It's interesting that he went out with Ryan Suter, because he came in with Ryan Suter, and it was kind of considered the big moment in Minnesota Wild hockey, as it signified that the owners were serious about winning the cup, which they never managed to pull off. Good job, Howie Jr. Good job.
And again, how many cups have they ever won?
That'd be 0, Kidder. That'd be 0.
And they've been around for 20 years now?
Something like that.
And the Avalanche won how many cups in their first year?
That'd be 1 cup, because you can only win 1 cup in your first year.
Whoa, that's weird. 100% more cups in their first year of being in existence. I know, it's very exciting. That is very exciting. I know, that is very exciting. Oh, it just gets me. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. Avalanche are up like 200%. So you were saying.
So what this will mean, though, is because the Wild are still paying Parise and Suter, they're going to run into salary cap problems in the next few years. So it's going to be interesting to see. Some of the speculation that I heard during the good portion of the radio that I got to listen to was that this was probably a move to remove problem players from the locker room. As the Wild start moving to a new youth movement, having these old guys in here who are set in their ways may not have been fitting the culture that the Wild wish to be cultivating in their locker room, and that this was just a move to try to correct that. So that's the speculation on it. We haven't really heard a comment from Parise or Suter along the lines of that. Parise was kind of shocked a little bit by it, although the writing was kind of on the wall that he was going. We talked about his lack of playing time, but he was shocked that Suter went out with him. That was kind of a bigger surprise.
Yeah.
And right now, from the comments that I've been hearing during my hours of listening to Sports Talk Radio, driving, Right now, it sounds like the leading contender for Parise to land will be with the Las Vegas Golden Knights. So that's the big speculation, is that that's where he's going.
Wow.
Vegas.
Interesting.
So.
My question would be, wouldn't it be plausible that he ends up in Seattle with the Kraken? And I know that they're going to have that lottery or various ways of getting a team together for the Kraken. But, I mean, thinking about it, wouldn't you say a former Fighting Sioux coach who coached this particular quality player may want to try and get him into Seattle?
You know, it's a possibility, and we'll find out tomorrow. I believe the 17th is when all of the teams have to lock in who they are protecting from the expansion draft. I believe the draft happens Sunday, so the 18th. So
interesting.
It's very possible that while the Suter and Parise aren't picked up in the expansion draft because they're no longer on a team, even after the expansion draft, the Kraken will still have to recruit some players and draft up some players from minor teams and such. So it is possible the Kraken could pick up Zach Parise. It's hard to say. I think a lot of the speculation about him going to Vegas has to do with the fact that the commentators think that he would be a good fit for that team and kind of give them something that they're missing.
Sure. So, also missing a cup. Just throwing that out there.
Right. Although, I mean, you have to give Vegas credit. I mean, first year in the league, and I mean true first year in the league, because I know we like to talk about the Avs win in their first year.
Yep.
But let's face it, they were the Quebec Nordiques before that.
Right.
So,
yeah.
You know, that's kind of a nice line that we like to use, but technically they existed before.
I think Vegas had a very stacked team in that first year, and I really thought they would win the cup in that year. But
hey, you know,
they didn't.
When you have the expansion draft and you can pick players off of every team, I mean, and teams can only protect so many players. You know, it's possible they end up with some amazing talent. I mean, Vegas was able to take Marc-Andre Fleury from the Penguins, and let's just be honest. Part of the reason that Vegas has done so well and has had its good runs in the playoffs is mostly because of Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yep.
So,
what I saw a graphic from I can't remember if it was NHL Network or if it was one of the other NHL affiliates, but it was actually saying that Marc-Andre Fleury may be one of the unprotected players that could be the goalie option for the Kraken. Which I'm like, how? He's like their, the Knights' main player for that. So it's crazy. The other piece that happened earlier today, Ryan Graves from the Avs, Gravy, he was traded to the Devils for a 64th round draft pick or something, and another player I can't remember.
It was a second round pick and a player who's I mean it's a nobody.
I gotcha.
Apparently, I've seen a lot of speculation.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, apparently, the speculation on that was that by getting rid of Graves, it allowed them to protect a few different players. So that's the speculation on that.
Yeah.
So, and especially because they traded him to the Devils, I believe.
Yep. And I think it also helps with the salary cap bit too.
Yep, it helps them with their salary cap, and again, if you're going to have to get rid of a decent player and have them be on a team that's now going to oppose you, why not choose a crappy team like the New Jersey Devils? I mean, you know, that
they made a star out of Travis Zajac. Or at least allowed him to shine.
Well, you know, he is probably one of the better players on that team and such. But, I mean, New Jersey's been bad since Parise left. So take it for what you will. But, I mean, I will stand by that. If you're going to give up a player, why not do it to a team like that? And pick up a player that you don't have to protect. So,
yeah. Because there's also a few of the other Avs players who are running up to the 5 to 10 mil at I don't want to say they haven't been living up to their contractual monetary obligations, if you will, but there's a piece of that where they might not be in the protected category, and because of that, in the back end of, okay, we're allowing these players to be part of the draft because they're so much money, and potentially offloading that salary cap relieving element and doing a little rearranging. I mean, it sucks because it'll potentially lose that player or players, but help bring that cap back down and maybe open up some room to do a couple different things.
Yeah. So anyway, right now, Parise is out there as a free agent. And, you know, I did hear, you know, before anybody feels sad for Parise, because I think you and I have both admitted we both like Zach Parise as a player.
Yep.
You know, the guy has done very well for himself. He's not hurting for money. And now he's kind of free to take and just sign these one-year contracts and go chase a cup. Kind of do what Joe Thornton is doing. You know, Joe Thornton played for the Maple Leafs this year on a one-year contract, just kind of being a gun for hire and trying to help get a cup. And when you have the money and you're kind of just set, I mean, you could take a pretty low-paying deal just to get on a really good team and you know, try and help. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Parise and Suter here. But yeah, that was the big news in hockey that we've been listening to. And Kidder, with that, you know, we've been talking for quite a while.
As
I
usual.
normally say it's time to wrap up with cheap plugs, but we already did the cheap plugs. So
we're extra cheap tonight. I don't know.
I think it's just time to wrap up this show. And yeah.
All right. Well, I'd say we could give a teaser for next week, but we have no clue what we're going to do next week, as usual. That's what makes this show the greatest show on the planet, because you know as much as we do pretty much going into these things. We just go where the great river takes us. That's a Star Trek reference, by the way. So let me just keep going with this thing, and join us, please, on the Facebook page. Join us everywhere that we are shared, both auditorily and visually. Make sure you like us, subscribe to us, comment with the show. Star Trek is, of course, better than Star Wars. And remember that free beers is coming up tomorrow. You know, free beer tomorrow. And aside from that, keep your glass full. Have a great rest of your evening, morning, day, wherever you might be. Thanks for taking us with you. And be safe. Catch you on down this old dusty trail of the Tuscan Highway on the Beer, Blues, and BS.
I like how you replaced cheap plugs with cheap shots.
You have been listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and BS. If you enjoyed the show, help others find out about it by rating the show or leaving a review at your podcast listening service of choice. Thanks for listening, and may your glass never be empty. UA Productions presents A Glimpse Behind the Curtain.
Alright, I see your screen sharing as I'm over here.
Yeah, it looked what popped up as your memories from 11 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little late, but yeah.
It's a good memory. And who knew that 11 years later that we'd still be milking that photo for all it's worth. Oh. And he froze up. Oh boy. Oh boy. Blink if you're still alive. Oh, bye myself. Huh. Now I am all by myself.